Hey everybody, how is it going? Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I want to talk about the EV stocks again. They are continuing to build up some momentum, and I know a lot of them are not up today. Some of them are pulling back slightly, but as long as they are holding some key levels, I think the uptrend is still intact. And the probability of them moving higher, I think, is just the same as it was yesterday, even though some of them are pulling back. But the first one I want to talk about is Net Element, or MULN Automotive, ticker symbol MULN. This one actually was brought to my attention by Robert from the Patreon. He says a lot of people are talking about how this one could be a short squeeze candidate. Now, I try not to get too caught up in all of the short squeeze talk, because ever since AMC and GameStop, it seems like everybody's always looking for the next short squeeze, and they just don't materialize all that often. It was more of the chart that kind of attracted me to this one, and I figured I would take a chance on it and buy some call options. And if this thing explodes, it explodes, but my my downside is limited since I'm buying some call options. But let me zoom in closer to the chart here so I can show you what I'm talking about. As we can see, the stock has been in a torrential downtrend. It started to make a little bit of a rounding bottom right down here around 55, 60 cents or so. Had a nice explosion upward on massive volume. This is usually the first step that I like to see when I'm waiting for a stock to potentially bottom. When I'm trying to buy one of these bottom fishing candidates. I wait for one big update on big volume, and then I want to see if it holds. It doesn't really bother me too much that it sold off that next day, but as long as it just continues to fade down slightly on lower volume than it went up, I still keep an eye on it. And then we had this day right here where it jumped over that 8-period exponential moving average, and now it is stuck between the 21-period exponential moving average and the 8-period exponential moving average. I like to call this the pressure cooker, and when it moved up in between these averages, it moved up on larger volume than it was when it was fading. So that makes me think that there's still some pressure coming into this stock. And if we get a pop over this 21-period exponential moving average, there could be a nice size move. So when I see a setup like this, I like to take a chance on some call options. But just a very nice looking chart. Even today's sell-off, you can see it's on just a minuscule volume. And if we can get a pop above this purple line, this 21-period exponential moving average, I think that there is a pretty good chance this thing could end up screaming. Hopefully, it ends up being a short squeeze. I'm not banking on it. I'm just looking at the chart pattern itself. It's looking like it's bottoming, and it's building up some pressure here. So we got a little bit of a tug of war going on. If we get a pop to the upside because of all of this momentum that's been coming to the downside, I think there could be a lot of shorts that could end up, heading for the exits, trying to scramble to cover their shorts as fast as they can. But definitely a nice looking chart in MULN. Next one I want to talk about is AYRO. You can see AYRO is making a very nice bottoming formation as well. Had a nice pop above the 50-period simple moving average yesterday. It is pulling back today right to that moving average, but it is holding above it, so I think that is still constructive. So AYRO is still on my watch list. Next one I like is SOLO. We can see SOLO, or Solo, is continuing to build up some momentum. And now this is the area that I am looking at right here that I want to own it if we get a break above that level. Let me see if I can make this a little easier to see there. There we go. So probably right around 2.25 or so. I'd like to see it get above that level. I think if we can, we got a nice chance of possibly running up here to that 200-period simple moving average. So a lot of these EV stocks and EV-related stocks are continuing to pick up momentum and look good. Next one is ZEV. You can see ZEV is also one of my favorites. Just an absolutely beautiful bottoming formation. Now it could be a little bit tough getting through this level right here. There should be a pretty tough resistance level, but if it does, I think we got a great chance of moving up here to that 200-period simple moving average. That's a pretty nice move from right here. That ends up being about, let's see if I can get my clicker to work here. About a 25% move, and I will take that any day of the week. Next one is HYZN. I talked about this one yesterday. Same exact pattern. You can see they're all starting to build up some momentum to the upside, putting pressure on these resistance areas, and that's what you're looking for, is a a nice momentum pop through that area that can send you up 15-20% or more. But very nice pattern, HYZN. Another one is Workhorse. See, Workhorse is looking really good right here, continuing to hold these higher levels right here, this higher consolidation that it's making. So a pop above $4 a share, to me, looks buyable. That one is close on the watch list. The one that I actually like the most right now for some reason is BLNK. I actually have an order to buy some of this one if it breaks above 25.50, and it looks like it could be making a run for it at the end of the day. I'm recording this with about an hour or so left in the trading day, so this one might end up stopping me in today. But BLNK, beautiful chart. Next one is actually CHPT. This one kind of took off without me, but this one I'm hoping BLNK could end up doing, since they're kind of in the same sector here. But just shows you, like, once this pattern starts to form, put pressure on that resistance area, and you pop through it, you can get some pretty nice follow through. Next one is SLDP. SLDP is kind of a solid state battery company. So it's pretty much in the same sector, but you can see the same exact beautiful pattern starting to form, putting pressure on that resistance area. It's having some trouble getting through it, which would be expected, but once it finally does pop, it could be a very nice move in SLDP. Another one is CBAT. Studio from the Patreon told me about this one. I'm not sure if he's in this one or not, but had a very nice move up yesterday. I really didn't like the fact that it sold off so hard, but it is moving a little bit higher today, and it is holding above those moving averages. So as far as I'm concerned, that just adds a little bit more evidence that this thing is starting to bottom and could take off. It had a little bit of a false break through this area right here, right around 140-ish. Yesterday on that pullback, but it could always break through it again. Next one is XOS. This one is looking pretty good as well, carving out a nice little bottom over the last couple of months, and is finally popping through this resistance area. Haven't bought any of this one yet. This is not my most favorite chart pattern, but I still like this one. Another one I like is Pola Power. And you can see this one already had a very nice explosion, ran all the way up to that 200 period simple moving average, pulled back, but it is holding that 8 period exponential moving average. So what I want to do on this one is go to the 15-minute chart. And what I am looking for actually is a break of this level right here. So if it breaks above call it 490, I think this one could be heading up again. Even though it had that big, nasty sell-off yesterday, it is still holding momentum, and all I want to see is a break above that 490 area, and I think this one could be heading up higher, or going up some more. All right, well, before I close the video out, as always, I'm going to go over my trading results for the day. I made one round trip trade today, and I also closed out a trade from yesterday. So I'm going to get into how this trade materialized, but before I do that, if you guys would like to join my Patreon, link is down there in the description. It's only $9.99 a month, and I put out a pre-market watchlist video on the Patreon page, or at least I try to every single trading day, just to show you what I am watching and if I see anything else happening in the market. But please remember, I'm not a financial advisor, so make all your own trading and investing decisions for entertainment purposes only. If you don't want to join my Patreon, I would appreciate a simple thumbs up. But let's actually get into this trade right now. I'm going to go to the 2-minute chart. I'll show you how this one shaped up. And this one, if I'd have held on, I would have had a much bigger gain. I did not capture anything close to this because this is just a morning half-hour trade. But most of these trades, they kind of end up just fading to the downside after they get a quick morning pop. So that's why I don't hold on to them. This is actually a rarity right here. But let me bring the chart back a little bit here so we can see it a little bit easier. I actually bought in after it made this little rounded bottom breakout right here. I bought in at $2.05. So right about here, I think, is where it stopped me in at. Had a little bit of a pullback, but it held that moving average. If it breaks that moving average, that's usually where I put my stop, just a little bit below that. So it got pretty close. I had my stop at $1.89, so it got pretty darn close. Got down to about $1.91, so that was pretty close. But anyway, found support at that moving average, took off, and I took a profit at $2.23, so right about here-ish. And it ended up running about almost 230. Maybe it did make it to 230. Well, about 229 before it kind of rolled over. It looked like it was going to be one of those days where it just went flat. But as we can see that I showed you from before, I think just made a nice little base and then took off. I considered actually buying in right here, but I was watching something else and it kind of like took off without me. But man, this thing was a very nice runner for the day. But, you know, I still ended up making 9% on my day trade, and I only try to make about, 6, 7, 8% on those, so I am happy with that trade. Just trying to add a little income every single day on these day trades. You know, sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. That's the nature of day trading. Let me go back to that daily chart real quick here, if I can get my software to work. But man, you can see just a massive, massive green day, especially when you have a day like, or a chart that looks like this where it's kind of fading down and you get a gap up. Chances are it ends up getting sold into because all these people that are trapped up here, you know, if they get any chance to get out anywhere near break even, they end up taking it. But there was plenty of volume enough to come in to send this thing higher. It just went all the way down to the 8-period exponential moving average. Turned right back around, even though it looks like it's starting to fade a little bit as the day is closing. But let's get to that second trade, and that was in CHNR. If you saw my video yesterday, I tried to buy this breakout, hoping we were going to get a bunch of follow-through, but unfortunately this thing just rolled over. I ended up taking about 20% of my position off at $1.34 because it was coming up to this resistance area right here. And I guess it looks like I should have taken it all off because I put my stop just below that 8-period exponential moving average at 99 cents, and that's where it stopped me out at. So bought in at $1.06 yesterday as it was starting to break out, and sold a little bit at 134. Got stopped out at 99 cents on the rest. It ended up being just a tiny gain. So basically a wash. You know, I'll just look for the next trade. This one actually doesn't really look all that bad where it's at right now. I just didn't want to be in it after this big reversal if it broke down below that moving average, but you know, it's kind of holding serve where it's at. You know, if the thing takes off tomorrow and breaks above this 200-period simple moving average, I might have to get back into this one because this one certainly looks like it could still be bottoming. So I'm going to keep this one on the watch list because the chart still looks kind of constructive. But that was all my trading activity for the day. If you guys have any questions or if you see any other cool charts, you know, I would appreciate a heads up on any of them. You know, I can't see every single nice trade in the market, so any help you guys give me is very much appreciated. I'm going to end the video right there. Thank you so much for watching it all the way to the end, and until next time, take care, everybody.